Hi, I'm Patricia Marshall Harris, and welcome to Dishing with Patricia. As a food, nutrition, and healthy lifestyle consultant, I believe food is our medicine. As the host of Dishing with Patricia, I also believe in connecting with notable guests who would dish about themselves, local events, community topics, and of course, food. Welcome back to Dishing with Patricia. My special guest is Lilvia Soto, Dr. Lilvia Soto, a poet, an essayist, and an art lover. Also, a voice for the global pan-Hispanic community. But she's also my friend. Welcome, Lilvia.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you very much for having me.
You describe yourself as a daughter of language. Tell us, what is that?
I grew up in Mexico City, but my mother, my sister, and I moved to the United States when I was 15.
Okay.
I did not know any English.
No.
None. And we came through El Paso. So I knew my first duty was to learn English. And there was only one place in El Paso where you could learn English as a second language. And it was a high school, a technical high school. So I went there. They had a 2-year program for learning English, and I was in a hurry. I wanted to get to college. So I did it in 1 year. So I was surprised when they called me to the principal's office, and they said to me, "We have studied your transcripts. You have enough credits to graduate from high school."
Wow.
After 8th grade. "If you want to, we'll give you your diploma today."
And you said yes.
They said no. But we advise you, they said, we advise you to stay with us another year so that your English will become stronger and you won't be wasting your time because you can take American history, American literature, British literature. So that's what I did. I stayed.
So your formal education was in the U.S.?
Yes. I studied in Mexico through 8th grade. I learned English and then went to college, to the local college in El Paso. It is now called the University of Texas at El Paso, but in those days it was called Texas Western College, a school of mines. So it was an engineering school. And of course I have nothing to do with engineering, but that was the only place where I could go.
Right.
So I went there for 2 years, yes.
Why do you think it's important to know your history?
Well, I think knowing yourself is important for every human being. However, if you belong to a minority, and if you're an immigrant,
yes,
it becomes more urgent. It becomes more urgent to know yourself, your family, your roots. If you're an immigrant, you will encounter some prejudice. You will encounter some people who will tell you to go home where you belong. And you have to make yourself strong.
And you recognize that earlier on?
I don't know to what extent or in what depth I recognized it early on, but I knew I was proud to be Mexican. How you speak tells the world who you are to a certain extent. Language is important to me. I learned how to read when I was 5 years old. I never had enough books. I couldn't, we didn't have a library in my school in Mexico. So I depended on the friends and relatives to buy me books. They could not believe that I would read one book every day. I would finish a book every day. So if you're a reader,
yes,
then language is important to you.
Of course it is. So you graduated, went on to college, then what path?
Well, I went to this mining school, an engineering college in El Paso for 2 years. Then I got married, moved to St. Louis, Missouri, had 3 children. As soon as I got married, I registered at Washington University in St. Louis.
Okay.
So I finished my bachelor's degree there.
Yes.
And I received a scholarship to start work on my master's.
So you got your master's.
So I did 1 year of courses for the master's degree, but then I had 3 children, so I interrupted my education. I went back, finished my master's at Washington University, And then I met a professor, a poet from Chile, and I knew I wanted to do my doctoral work under him.
Wonderful.
So, and he moved to New York. He moved to Stony Brook, and I did my PhD there. It's a PhD, you know, doctoral philosophy, but with specialization in Latin American literature.
Then you went into academia, correct?
And then when I finished my PhD in 1980, I had an appointment to Harvard University as an assistant professor.
Okay.
To Boston. I was there. I don't know whether you're familiar with the system they have at Harvard. They hire assistant professors for 3 years only,
Okay.
and then they have to go.
So where did you go after that?
Well, they renewed me. At the end of 1 year, they said I was doing a great job, so they gave me 3 more years. So I was there for 6 years. Then I had a postdoctoral fellowship at the University of Cambridge in England. I was writing a book about Carlos Fuentes, and Carlos Fuentes was a professor that year in Cambridge.
Okay. So after you've learned how to speak English, you're now writing, you've gone through college, you're now a PhD, did a fellowship in Cambridge. When did you want to put language to pen?
Well, when you study for a master's and then for a PhD, you write papers for the courses. You
Right.
write at least one, sometimes 2 or 3 papers for each course you take. So I was writing academic papers all along.
Okay.
And publishing them. I was publishing them in academic journals and going to conferences to present my papers.
Mm-hmm.
So I first became a writer of academic papers.
Correct.
When I left the academic world, I don't know, something just...
But that wasn't feeding that urge to tell your story, tell your beliefs, and things that were important to you. So.
Well, at that, writing academic papers was just writing about what other authors have written.
Of course, of course.
But then I was at a loss. What do I want to do?
Okay.
What kind of job do I want after I finish with the academic world? And then I remembered what made me happy. What has made me the happiest? And I remembered the happiest I ever was writing those academic papers, because there's some creativity in that. And then I thought, well, let me try using that creativity, but in a different genre. So I started writing poems and essays about my life, about my ancestors.
Wonderful. But what did you learn about your ancestors and yourself that has impacted, that you needed to tell their story? But not just tell their story in a written word, but in your emotions and through your life journeys, because you also travel.
I have traveled, not as much as I wish I had, but quite a bit. And I was living in Tucson, Arizona, and I decided that I wanted to go and see where I was born, because I was close enough there. So I made a trip to Chihuahua.
Back to Mexico.
That's in the northern Mexico. They were not supposed to do this, but somehow I managed to convince some of the women working in those offices, and they allowed me to go back into the archives. So I opened these books. They're yellow. They're falling apart.
Yes.
Each page is turning into dust, and I see my paternal grandmother's signature in her wedding, in her marriage certificate. And I remember her writing. I saw her signature. And yes, one thing led to another. I became more and more and more interested. So part of it is going through the archives, going through old documents, talking to cousins, what they knew. They gave me some photographs they had.
finding all of that out just fueled that flame about being happy about where you came from, the importance of your heritage, but also telling your word through things in your books, in your writing, because of us being black and brown people are a minority on this continent, on this part of the world.
Right.
But it's important to incorporate your thoughts and your language through your travels in written word. Tell me about your first book. What happened that you said, I need to write this, I need to document this?
I was working at the University of Pennsylvania here.
Yes.
In the college office. I was an assistant dean, an advisor in
Yes.
the college. And they sent me to Spain for 1 year.
I like Barcelona.
Because they needed somebody to be the resident director of their study abroad program in Seville. And so I had 46 students from Penn, Cornell, and Michigan. So I started writing poems there.
Based on your travels?
Based on my travels, yes.
And what is the name of your book?
The name of my book is bilingual, and it's Bajo las Palabras, that's the Spanish, and then the English is Under the Words.
Under the Words.
Under the Words.
You also have a website. You have
yes.
Can you tell us what that website is, please?
Yes, I have two now,
Okay,
two
well,
websites.
tell
One
us.
of them is lilviasoto.com, and the other one is lilviasotowrites.com.
That's your first book.
That's my first book, Abajo las Palabras. This was published in Mexico, in the state of Sonora, and it's poems, some of the ones that I wrote in Spain, and
Yes.
then others,
Yes.
and they're both in English and in Spanish.
So is this self-published, or you have it?
No, I had a publisher
you have a
in
publisher
Sonora.
in
Yeah.
Sonora. So tell us about your second book.
And this is my second book. This is called Lengua Lanzadera Enhebrada, or in English, Tongue Threaded Shuttle. And you can see the cover.
Okay.
The cover is a photo from a museum that you can find in a museum in Sonora. And it's two women from that area of the country that who are weaving. Because I make an analogy about weaving and writing.
Okay. It's telling a story, and it's also just visual through the weaving, but also telling a story in your written.
It's actually one poem only.
This whole book is one poem?
The whole book is one poem.
So how would we get your books? On your websites?
These are published in Mexico. This is going to be in Amazon in digital form.
Okay.
Or they can write to me and I will mail it directly to them.
Okay.
The same for this. This is not yet, but it's also going to be in digital form in Amazon. And the printed book, I can send to anybody who's interested.
Now you have a book coming out.
And this is the one that is going to be published September 11th.
And tell us about this book.
This book is called Lies of an Indispensable Nation. It took me 20 years to write this book because I started it on 9/11/2002. This was the first memorial, worldwide memorial
Of 9/11.
of 9/11.
And the book is going to come out in circulation on 9/11 this year.
Right.
So what happened that you turned the page and you now are going to publish this? What changed?
Well, like everybody else, like every American, actually like everybody in the world, I was horrified to watch what happened on 9/11/2001. I was glued to my TV. I was living in Arizona. But a year later, first memorial, worldwide, the whole world also was still grieving with the United States, with America. And there were celebrations
All over.
all over the world.
All over.
But that day, I was also just watching everything that was happening. And I started hearing rumors that the United States was going to attack Iraq. And that hurt me more than anything else, because I thought, the whole world, all presidents, prime ministers, ambassadors, religious representatives of every religion in the world,
Right.
they're all grieving with the United States, and we are, and the people who were most affected, the people who had lost somebody the year before, they were all talking about forgiveness. But the government was not thinking about forgiveness. The government was thinking of revenge.
And you had to tell this story.
So then I started taking notes
You tell this story.
and writing poems.
Right.
And for 10 years, I wrote poems about what was happening in Iraq.
But you also recently traveled to Mexico when they were the flux of immigrants coming into the U.S. on the border. You went that route to see
yes.
what was going on when we were,
Yeah.
how was it affecting the children and the families
When
and things.
when children were being put in cages.
Yes.
Yes. I made a trip starting in El Paso all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, going back and forth. I crossed the border back and forth
At every entry.
to see, and I saw some of the artwork some of those children in cages had made. And again, it breaks your heart.
It breaks your heart. So my guest, the reason why I had Lilvia on today, Lilvia is not only a talented writer, but Lilvia is my friend. And when she came to me to tell me that her book was going to be published, I felt that I needed to hear her story. And I needed for you guys to hear her story, because this is a very turbulent time that is going on in America. And history will repeat itself if we do not learn what happened in our past. She's coming forward with what her thoughts are in written word. And equally in today's time, we're taking away written word in the schools. We're changing our history, and we can't do that. But Lilvia, more importantly, is my friend, and how I met Lilvia was based on food.
Yes.
And you guys know that food is medicine. We believe that you nourish your soul, and some of the most fabulous times that Lilvia and I have had is we're having a drink. As a matter of fact, I made this for you today.
Thank
Everything
you.
today is about watermelon, and Lilvia loves watermelon. So this is a refreshing watermelon drink that the recipe can be found on my website. But what's important to me is that if you guys have a moment, you can go on her website, hear her story. But we're going to talk about food that connects us. And food connected Lilvia and I, and this is why she and I have a relationship. And I would be remiss if I didn't bring her on for you guys to know what her story was, but also share the relationship that she and I have, which was based on food. So if you give us a moment, we'll be back. Welcome back to Dishing with Patricia. My guest is Lilvia Soto. Lilvia, I want you to help me. I've done a watermelon salsa.
Oh, that sounds incredible.
It sounds incredible. So I want you to help me with this. So I'm going to pass you the ingredients, and I want you to just stir them around a little bit. So tell me some of your fondest memories of growing up in the kitchen and some of your favorite dishes.
My
So this
mother-
is
yeah,
fresh lime juice.
Lime
So-
juice. That's in Mexico. Those in Mexico are called lemons, and you have them on everything. I put lemon on everything.
So limes are still called lemons as well?
Well, we don't have the yellow lemons,
Really?
right?
Okay.
We only have what you call limes,
Lime.
but they're called lemons there.
Oh, okay. So this is come on. This is jalapeno.
Jalapeno,
So just
great.
put the jalapeno
Oh.
in there.
That's really great.
Yes, yes, yes. I love spicy foods, don't you?
I do too.
So
I do
what
too.
is it? Tell me one of your favorite dishes growing up. So, Lilvia, this is cilantro. I'm going to just put this in and you just stir it up as we're talking.
Well, my mother was a wonderful cook, and we did not have a refrigerator. We had an ice box. That was many, many years ago.
Okay.
And she went to the market every day, so everything she cooked was with fresh ingredients.
Oh, wow, I love that.
And she made the best soups. And you know how much I like soups, right?
Yes.
I moved back to Philadelphia because I was diagnosed with cancer. And I have a wonderful daughter who lives in Philadelphia. And of course, we have the University of Pennsylvania medical facilities here. So I moved here so that I could go to the best cancer doctors, the best oncologists. My daughter bought a condo right next door to Patricia's.
This recipe can be found on classyessentialnutrition.com. So we've just put in red onions, cucumbers, and this is the last thing, is this watermelon.
Watermelon.
Okay, so come on and finish it. And this is, tell them what this is.
Tajín. Tajín clásico.
Okay, this is, and a little bit of salt. So I'm going to incorporate this and move this around. But tell folks how important the food was to your recovery.
But my luck was that I was living right next door to Patricia, and she helped with my healing by bringing me her incredible soups. So her soups are responsible for my being here.
She told me that when she would come home, and first of all, I had not met her because I knew she was going through her challenges. So even before I met her, I would leave the bag of soups on her door. And she said that when she came in from chemo, she would hope that there would be a bag on her door.
And you know, food is the best medicine, especially if you're talking about Patricia's soups. So. But watermelon, I mean, this is really special, and you don't know this, but my mother's father, the Mormon, who lived in northern Chihuahua, where I was born, he was a farmer.
Yes.
And one of the things he raised was watermelons. And my mother had a passion for watermelons. She and her siblings would be on the back patio eating watermelon and throwing the seeds on the ground. She absolutely adored watermelon. And in my next book, which is about my family, there's a poem that I dedicate to my mother about watermelon.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I had no idea about the history of your family with watermelon, but I knew that you liked watermelon. Typically, we would be having a watermelon margarita, but we're not today. So I've made this watermelon salsa. And I want you to taste this, but I just want my audience to see how, look at the colors. I tell you all the time, buy seasonal fruits and vegetables. This is watermelon season. I buy 2 watermelons every time I purchase watermelon because I have one I need to cut and the other is in rotation. So when I finish one, I just have another, and we do that all summer long with watermelons, but I wanted you guys to see this. So this is fresh watermelon with cilantro, cucumbers, red peppers. Look at the color. This is going to be a fabulous snack for your family, your friends. Take it to a dinner party. They're going to be impressed. So Lilvia, I want you to try this. Tell me what you think.
It looks amazing, and it's going to make me cry because it reminds me of my mother.
That's okay, because you know what? I learned how to cook with my mother. And we always talk about food is spiritual. So
it is.
I want you to enjoy this.
Food is spiritual. Food is medicine. And food is culture.
Yes, and a connector.
And identity.
Yes,
and identity.
I agree with you. I haven't had an opportunity to cultivate where my family came from, but some of my fondest memories is being in the kitchen with my mother. So I'm happy to share this with you, and I'm happy to share this with my audience because I want us to get back to the basics. When I said that food is a connector, I mean that. Let's bring our families back together.
Yes.
With family, we can do anything. So give us a minute, and I have another recipe I'm going to share with you, and we'll be back. This is my second recipe that Dr. Lilvia Soto is going to share with me about her past experiences about food. But today was all about watermelon. But if you guys will notice, in our last segment where we were talking about foods, Lilvia's family grew watermelons. I had no idea. I just thought that you loved my watermelon margaritas. Yes. I had no idea.
I hadn't told you that story.
You hadn't told me that story. But everything today so far has been about watermelons. We started with a watermelon drink. We just a few minutes ago, I gave you my second recipe, which was a watermelon salsa.
Which I loved.
You loved that.
I went crazy over.
You went crazy. So this recipe here is a salad with watermelon. But we must remember all of my things are plant-based. And before we end the afternoon, these are shortbread cookies with a watermelon glaze. Yes, it is. So let's get started. But remember, folks, you can find all my recipes on classyessentialnutrition.com. So Lilvia, I want you to help me, but I want you to talk to me about some of your favorite salads. So come on, this is some arugula, so let's just put it in the bowl. Okay, just put it right on in.
I could live on just salads.
Really?
Yes. If I had salads, I wouldn't need anything else.
So do you like salads with just everything in it, or you just like lettuce and tomato and that's it?
No, I like them with everything. Sometimes with vegetables, sometimes with fruits.
Yeah. I mean, it's the season. So every season you can make a salad your own.
You can make a different salad every day of the year, I think, if you really like salads. And I do.
You do? So please put this watermelon in there. That's your favorite so far.
That sounds amazing.
That's so, okay. So this is right here. And this is some avocado.
I love avocado.
Tell folks how not to turn your avocado brown when you're not ready to eat it.
Oh, it gets brown right away, and of course, they don't, in my house, they don't last that long. They don't last long enough to get brown, but yes, as soon as you open it,
they're brown.
So we put lime juice to protect it. In Mexico, and I'm not sure that it really helps, but we leave the seed in there.
And that's what I do. That's what I do. They have this now, this avocado container, and it's shaped like an avocado. And I'm telling you,
helps it.
Yes, you can barely get the top off. So the lid really does secure it.
But in Mexico, we also make ice cream out of avocados.
Really?
Yes.
Can you share that recipe with us? Not today.
I don't have the recipe, but I'll try to find one.
I'm sure you know somebody over there that could.
Yes, you can. They make ice cream out of avocado, and they make ice cream out of corn.
I would love to know about that. So this is feta. Do you mind stirring that for me, please?
Beautiful. Oh,
so this is vegan feta. Always remember, all of our dishes that you see on Dishing with Patricia is plant-based. This is a really good feta cheese, I'm telling you. I have not eaten regular cheese in a long time, but it reminds you of goat cheese. It's rich, it's creamy. Yeah. And these are toasted pistachios. Always incorporate seeds, nuts in your salads. So we're gonna put all these pistachios in there. Okay. And this is some salt. We're going to come back to it in case we need some more. But these are some other things that I'm putting in there. This is flat parsley. Incorporate fresh herbs. This is basil. This is cilantro. Just look how we're building up the flavor in this salad.
Yes.
And this is dried oregano.
Oh.
Okay. So while you're mixing that up together, I'm always telling you guys about how you should make your own salad dressing. So I made a dressing for this salad that is a kiwi vinaigrette. Kiwi, golden kiwi. This is how golden kiwi looks. It's not green inside, it's golden. And I'm going to show you, just if you have everybody should have these little things. You know, you make a smoothie real quick. All I do, I'm not even going to chop this up. I'm going to throw this in here like this. This is garlic. This is fresh lemon juice. This is olive oil. Always have olive oil when you're making a dressing. This is white balsamic vinegar. I didn't want the normal color because I want the dressing to still stay light on the, and this is, may I have, is there a spoon? I think we got a spoon somewhere. Okay, so I'll come back to this. But this is Dijon mustard. This is agave. That's just going to give it a nice little sweetness to it. And this is salt and pepper to taste. And we did this in a grinder. Just one second, I just need to reach and get a spoon. So I'm gonna put this Dijon mustard in it. Look how quick this is going. If I was not in front of you guys, I would put my finger in here and just taste it a little bit, but.
But we don't do that in public?
No, we don't do that in front of other people. My hands are clean, I promise. So, and then once I did this, it infuses it. So it's not as just like jelly. It gave it some creamy and richness to it. So of course you need to pour this into a nice container. You have guests. You don't want to pour things into your guest, your salad dressing, you know, in a container like this. So Lilvia,
That looks amazing.
Thank you. I'm going to mix this together. You have a seat, and I want you to taste this and tell me what you think.
Oh my God.
I mean, I thought about you when I was making all of these things today. It's important, when people are important to you, think about what you want to serve them. I feel special when I go to someone's home and they said, I was thinking about you and I made this today.
It's very special.
When you invite people into your home, they're your guest. Don't make excuses. If you invite someone in your home, call them. Ask them, what's going on with you? How do you eat? Do you have any dietary limitations, restrictions, or what's going on with you? I'm telling you, it makes all the difference in the world. And you invite your guests over because they're your guest. Other than that, they can stay home. But you want them to be happy. And it makes me happy because food is our medicine. And remember, it's a connector. So, Lilvia, I'm going to just, do you like your salad dressings real wet? I don't like mine real wet.
No.
Okay. So hopefully it's going to come out really good. Okay, that's enough. Would you like some fresh, I did have some, I'll just give you a little pepper on this if you don't mind.
Oh, that's...
And just a little bit of salt because it's going to balance the acidity and things. Okay, tell me what you think. While Lilvia is starting this, look how beautiful this salad is.
It looks like a work of art.
Color.
A painting.
It's color.
Yes.
I can't tell you guys enough. Your food should have color. It should have depth. It should have diversity.
Oh.
Please.
To die for.
To die for.
To die for.
To die for. Okay. So, I have one more recipe to share. There's watermelon. There's olive oil. This is ginger and garlic paste that I made. I'll give you the recipe. This is fresh mint. This is salt. This is pepper. This is pepper flakes. These ingredients here, we're going to saute them, but because of time, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to give you the finished product, but always remember, you can find all of my recipes on classyessentialnutrition.com. So, Lilvia, I'm going to pour this for you.
Oh, that looks...
And had I been thinking, oh, I'm sorry, I would have made some tortillas and made them in strips just to complement the soup. So, it's about presentation. Look at that. Here you are.
This looks amazing. Look at that.
Okay. Tell me what you think. I'm going to keep talking with my guests. You guys have no idea how I loved having Lilvia here. I'm a spiritual person, and Lilvia brings out that spiritualness in me. And family, knowing where you come from, that just touches my heart and touches my soul. And I'm hoping that some of this energy comes across to you guys. Food is our medicine. Food is a connector, but it's important that we reach out to those that we love. Lilvia?
I want the recipe.
You want the recipe?
I want the recipe.
So this is a spicy watermelon soup with mint and ginger.
Oh, it's amazing.
None of my recipes are original. They come to me in my dreams. And then I go on the internet and I look for some of the things that I'm adding, and then I always alter all of my recipes because I want to make them my own. Make your recipes your own. All of my ingredients they're plant-based, but you can add other proteins in them and make them your own. Lilvia, thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for inviting me. And I think what you're talking about right here is I would call culinary imagination.
Okay.
And it's just like poetic imagination.
Right.
It comes from the same source.
Okay. Food is spiritual.
It's from the spirit, exactly.
From the spirit. So until we meet again, let's live in the spirit. Until next time, bye.